Welcome back to Ride JBI. This is JB. Today we finished a suspension revalve on this 2021 Yamaha YZ450F KYB suspension. This suspension was revalved to our JBI suspension SoCal Hills setting. This setting is for freeriders in mind that like to go out into the hills and build jumps and do natural terrain jumps. This setting is a lot firmer than a motocross setting, so it gives the riders a lot more bottoming resistance than they would normally have with a motocross setting. This setting, however, is not as stiff as our supercross or FMX settings that we offer. Reason being is sometimes those are a little too much depending on the type of rider you are out in the hills, meaning you don't need a setting that stiff. Because when it's that stiff, sometimes it gets really hard to ride some of the trails around the hills, and also some of the jump lips, like the run-ups and takeoffs and landings, often might get really rough and more. So instead of having a bike that's overly stiff and bouncing everywhere, you can still have a bike that's decently comforting or comfortable as you go over those bumps. So it's less of a handful, but still have plenty of bottoming resistance for the jump landing. Again, we call this our SoCal Hill setting. It is for free riders in mind. We have a JBI suspension settings chart, and put that at the end of this video, and that kind of shows you the different settings that we offer and how they relate to each other in terms of how stiff they are, meaning how hard it is to compress the suspension down. So compared to our JBI suspension motocross setting, this setup is about 30% firmer. So much firmer than a moto setting, but still not quite as firm as a freestyle or supercross setting. Now this is a 2021 Yamaha YZ450, which means it has the KYB SSS Gen 2 spring forks. And also has a KYB 16mm shock shaft with 50mm piston on the rear shock. The Yamaha YZ450 suspension has been good for quite some time, and Yamaha continues to do a great job refining it and improving it over the years. The KYB suspension, at least the front forks, are so well liked and popular that there's even a KYB drop-in cartridge kit for the KTM, Husqvarna, and Gas brand motorcycles, because they want the same feel and performance of that the KYBs can offer. We utilize the stock springs on this build as they are perfect for the rider's weight and size. So pretty much all of our modifications took place on the valving of the forks and the shock. That is where we did our focus in order to get the suspension spec'd to what we call our JBI suspension SoCal Hills setting. Alright guys, if you'd like Ride JBI to do your suspension, please give us a call or send us an email. We'll talk about the year, make, and model bike that you have, what options are available, and which setup would work best for you. All JBI suspension services and parts can be found at ridejbi.com.